We out here.
American Chad.
We doing this. We doing this. Alright, stand by. I gotta do just like one thing so that this stream makes some sense.
I'm gonna go make sure Goblin knows what the fuck is up.
Yeah,
Be right
bro.
back.
Yeah. Bellum, closed beta kickoff. Technical help. 21 March 26. Alright, good enough. Alrighty, here we go. Here we go. Switch to Bellum. Go to Bellum. There we go. Alright, sweet. So let's get into it. For anybody who is new to Bellum, then let's run through these real quick. I see a handful of familiar faces, but I'm glad I've got some new folks here. If you've got questions, try to hold them until I ask for them. If I forget to ask for them after logical sections, then yes, please somebody step in and remind me that I'm supposed to be asking for questions. But I'm going to kind of try to break this down into like 5-minute bite-sized increments. And then we'll take some questions and go from there. So first things first, under gameplay, a lot of this is personal preference stuff. I mean, I guess technically it's all personal preference, but I highly recommend you set your FOV to 90. What that it's going to do is give you like the most, I can't think of a better way to put it than the most natural highest zoom. If you widen that FOV out to like 115, then it's gonna pull your zoom back in a sense, and it's pretty dramatic. It's pretty dramatic. I'll demonstrate for you here in a minute probably, but yes, your peripheral vision would be wider at 115 FOV, but your ability to see in the far distance will be greatly compromised. Not because of the draw distance like you see in games, but just the zoom factor on your monitor is much less. And being able to see in the far distance and see detail in the bushes and in the trees is far more important than having an extra wide FOV. And if you're one of those bougie dudes with a widescreen monitor, you don't even need to set your FOV high. We've got a few guys I've seen with like 21:9 and 32:9 monitors, and even at 90 FOV, it's ridiculous how wide their field of view is. Okay, so then we're going to go to the video tab. The window mode should be either windowed full screen or full screen exclusive. I know amongst the gaming community, everybody says, oh, go full screen exclusive. Well, these days, there's not really that much of a performance gap between the two, and it's pretty much zero. Windows is finally optimized to where Windows full screen normally is pretty much on par performance-wise with exclusive. But, you know, that's up to you, personal preference. If you need to change your resolution so that it matches your monitor resolution, then you can, up here under windowed mode, you can click full screen, and then that'll unlock this here, and you can change it. If you go to change it, basically any change you make in here, hit save, and then go do your next thing. But if you go to change it and it just won't stick, that can actually be fixed in your configuration file. Just get with me one-on-one offline and we'll get you fixed. So anyway, I'm on a 1440 monitor, so mine's good to go. Colorblind, brightness, blah, 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 all personal preference. Mine's been running at 100% brightness since day one, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the default setting. So graphics quality. I run everything at Epic. I like how pretty it looks, and I've got a system that can handle it. However, War Daddy, our TWS founder, was recommending people set everything on low. Oh, I hit the wrong one. Bear with me, folks. I'm running on about 3.5 hours of sleep because I'm an idiot. So basically, you're going to hit this quality preset, go to low, and then down here under anti-aliasing, you're going to, actually you can go left, set it to epic, view distance epic, textures epic, effects epic. Effects you could probably turn down too, honestly, but this is what WarDaddy settings were. Reflections all the way on low, post-processing on low. So what this will do is give you really good performance while still not compromising those things that matter for being able to see in the far distance. So me personally, I run all epic. WarDaddy was running global illumination on low, shadows on low, shading quality on low, anti-aliasing on epic. Go ahead, say that again.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I interrupted. Please disregard.
Okay. View distance on epic, textures on epic, effects on epic, reflections low, post-processing low. Moving on. Down here under super resolution, I know for those of you that come from like Twitch shooters, like the Call of Duties and the Apexes and stuff like that, people tell you don't run DLSS, don't run FrameGen, but in this game, again, visual clarity trumps pretty much everything. Don't worry so much about your FPS. Speaking of the FPS, I should have mentioned this before we kicked off. In these menus, if you are running the game currently, or if you can just remember this, you can press the tilde key to the left of your 1 key, and if you watch down here, when I press that, it brings up a little console. You can actually press it again, and it'll bring up this bigger version with like a history, essentially. But anyway, so you hit tilde, bring up the console, and you can type stat FPS, STAT space FPS, hit enter. Now look up here in the top right corner, and I get an FPS counter. Since I'm in the menus and I have my frame rate limited to 60 FPS, that's why you see 30 up here. And I'm running 2 times frame generation. It's actually only generating 30 real frames and then 30 in between. And so whatever number you see up here, if you have frame gen on, you're actually going to double that FPS number. Because it just doesn't report the quote-unquote fake frames in between. If you're a super nerd like me, you can actually type stat unit, hit enter, and it'll add some more nerdy stuff in here, more data that matters more to the devs than it does to us, but a little bit of interesting stuff. And then you can type those commands again, and it'll turn it off. And I think there's a third command that'll add a little bit more data to that stat unit toggle, but again, it's way in depth on stuff that really you don't need. I don't remember what it is. Okay, so for the super resolution upscale method, if you're running an NVIDIA card, I highly recommend that you run NVIDIA DLSS 4. Under NVIDIA DLSS, essentially you're going to want to start at DLAA, and as necessary, so that your frame rate is enough that it's visually smooth on your screen, you're going to move this slider further and further to the right. Because as you see, I just pointed with my finger at my monitor because I'm a dummy. As you see up here, DLAA is the highest quality, and you could put it on auto, but I recommend just manually set it. DLAA is the highest quality. Quality is a slight step down. Balanced is slightly more of a step down. Performance is going to be an even bigger step down in quality, and then ultra performance is going to be the lowest quality. But as you move down that list or right through the toggles here, you're going to get higher performance but lower quality. So higher FPS but blobbier, blurrier looking game. If you're on an AMD card, then you're going to put this on AMD FSR. And then basically the same principle applies down here, though. It's going to be, I think, right here, instead of saying DLAA, it's going to be AMD FSR native or something like that. And then essentially it's got equivalents to quality, balance, performance, and ultra performance the further right you go. So I would start out in DLAA or AMD native and see what kind of performance you're getting. And if it's, you know, if it's not smooth looking, then bump it over a tick. And if that's not smooth, bump it over another tick. just depending on what your hardware setting is. As far as the NIS sharpness, regardless of whether you're running an NVIDIA GPU or an AMD GPU or even an Intel GPU, you experimental person, I would set this as low as you can possibly stand. The higher your sharpness, especially as it approaches 1, it's going to introduce artifacting, and it's going to be over sharp, and so it's actually going to introduce corruption on your screen that will clutter the screen and make it hard to see people once they get out past 100 feet, 150 feet past your position. All right, moving on. Frame gen. Make that link up with whatever the manufacturer of your GPU is. So if you've got an NVIDIA card, set it on NVIDIA. I manually set it to 2x. You can leave this on auto, as you see over here. But I just force it to 2x so that it's always running. And the number you see here, like if you turn frame gen off, you're going to get, say, 100 FPS. And then if you turn it on, you're going to see this drop down to 80. So you're going to be like, oh, frame gen doesn't work. Well, no. That's because frame gen drops your native, like your real FPS, slightly lower than your GPU's capability to push out. And then it creates quote-unquote fake frames in between those. And like I said earlier, the real frames are the only ones that are reported in-game. The fake quote-unquote frames are not reported. So you're actually getting double that as far as frames that are getting pushed to your monitor. And for me, it actually appears smoother that way. I know some people, turn their nose up at it, and that's fine. If you don't want to run frame gen, it's your computer. Don't run it. I think it runs smoother, and it doesn't introduce hardly any input lag, or at least it's not enough that it matters. I wouldn't run this in Call of Duty or Apex or something like that, but in Bellum, it works just fine. VSync, you can play with that. It's not a big. I don't think it's a big deal. Like I run a G-Sync monitor, and then I've got all kinds of settings set in my GPU with a third-party app where even though it says off here, like it's forced on in my GPU driver settings. So you can play with that if you want. That's kind of a personal preference. The frame rates here, I would not limit the bottom one because that's going to be your in-game frame rate, and you want as many frames as you can get. Unless you're one of those weird gamers who is not always chasing frame rates and you're trying to conserve power. That's just weird. This is probably not the genre for you. Frame rate limit, I set that to 60 in the menu so that animations and everything still looks smooth, but it gives my GPU a little bit of a break when I'm just in the menus. Frame rate limit in the background, so when you're Alt-Tab to another app. I just have it on 60, so like if I tab over to my secondary monitor, messing with OBS or something like that, it still looks good, but it's giving my GPU a break. Again, this is a personal preference setting. That's pretty much it before we get to Keybinds. So do I have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and hit me with them.
Yeah, quick question. So frame generation, that doesn't affect quality, correct?
Correct. I haven't noticed it doing anything affecting quality. I've bounced back and forth between on and off back a month or two ago when I was doing some testing. And no, you should not notice any difference in quality with frame gen turned on. And if it were for whatever reason on your system you notice a drop in quality, then by all means turn it off, and maybe get with me and give me a heads up so I can remember that for future training. And then also maybe we can figure out a solution so that your graphics are as tweaked out as we can, Any further questions about graphics, anything we've covered so far? Going once, going twice. Oh, send it.
Jedi, just a warning. So Intel Frame Gen, I've observed it likes to flicker. If that's the case for you, try the AMD one.
Okay, even if you're running an Intel GPU?
Actually, I don't know. I have an NVIDIA, and the Intel Frame Gen would do this little flickering where it's almost half a pixel offset on the screen for footage because I think it just couldn't figure out like what is it, and then it just flickers. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks for the heads up, Klee. For anybody that doesn't know, Klee is one of the Astarte Industries developers, hence the AI clan tag. There are a bunch of bots over there, but they're freaking awesome. Klee works closely with us all the time. Like, he'll game with us sometimes. He'll jump in chats like you see right here, and dude's just chock full of information. So if you get a chance to have a late night session with Klee, he'll pretty much tell you everything that they're planning to do with the game. So just so you know, you didn't hear that from me, but you just heard that from me. All right, let's move on. Oh, well, hold on. Before I move on, I'll dovetail with what Klee just said. So yeah, I mean, feel free to experiment with any of these settings. It's your computer. If you think you can find even better settings than what I've run through here, by all means do it. And in fact, there are some settings you can do outside of the game to further improve your gameplay experience, and especially like getting rid of ghosting and making things as ultra sharp as they can be. There are some things you can do outside of the game. Unfortunately, it's just outside of the scope of this training. It'll take too long. But feel free to DM me and get with me, and then maybe I'll do a future training. I can do one-on-one stuff, you know, here and there, but then maybe I'll put together a future training on how to do those third-party app tweaks to further improve over what I've showed you guys here today. All right, any more questions or comments regarding the video settings? All right, roger that. Moving on. So under mouse and keyboard, that's where you can set your keybinds, yada yada yada. I think all of mine are on default settings. Yeah, off the top of my head, I think they're default.
Those look all, yeah, they all look default.
Yeah, I'm gonna slowly scroll through this so that, like, for anybody watching on YouTube or that comes back and watches it later, they can see what these are if they're not able to get in game and do them. Yeah, there we go.
A quick reminder regarding the
99%
keybinds.
of those are default.
A quick reminder regarding the keybinds. We want to make them very customizable, but some of the combinations are very funky. We are still working on that, and as we kind of get closer to early access, more of the keybinding should become more functional.
Yeah,
Love to hear that.
yeah. Eventually, you know, you should have full customization here, I would assume. Again, Astarte Industries, for anybody that doesn't know, they're made up of industry vets, and they play these video games just like you do, and they know what we like in video games. And they pursue excellence in what they do. So I would expect nothing less than full customization in here eventually. But for now, since we're just now transitioning to closed beta, there's a few compromises that have to be made in the interest of time and them just being able to pump out all the foundational stuff. And these keybinds work pretty well. Like they thought them through, and so they work well. All right, I'm going to save changes. Hopefully I didn't leave anything in a jacked up state. And then I'm going to see if I can jump in. Oh yeah, I should be able to jump in. And then I'll run through a few of the systems real quick. Yeah, go ahead and send it. What were you saying?
Quick question about the keybinds. There's no way to change the fire mode? Or is that just like a set keybind we can't change?
There is. You're actually, like, let's say you you're wanting to change the fire mode on your primary weapon, which, as we all know, is the 1 key for practically any shooter game. You just tap the 1 key again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's what that keybind is. Got it. Okay.
And
I was looking for, like, most of the games that I've played previously, it's like an off key where you hit, like, you have one specific, and then the number keys are for changing weapons.
Yeah. No, you do use the number keys to choose weapons and equipment, but you just tap, like, if you're holding your primary and it's in semi-auto, then you'll just tap the same number again and it'll set it to auto. I'll demonstrate here in a second.
So, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. But that brings up a good point. I'm glad you asked that. Some of the keybinds are not listed in here. They're not meant to be secret. It's just a feature that got added and has not been added to the UI yet. Klee, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they are meant to be secret.
No, some of them are just like new features that the UI guy forgot to add or never got around to add.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get there sooner rather than later. And there's only like a couple of them that really matter to gameplay anyway. Okay, for anybody still with me, let me just get over here where I've got a little bit of separation from everybody else. All right, so your medical menu is H. And you're just gonna, like, if you got to do self-aid, you can be looking basically anywhere as long as it's not at another dude that needs medical performed on him. And you're gonna hold down your H key. You're gonna get this wheel here. Your arms and your legs, basically all 4 of your limbs, can be tourniqueted or bandaged. Your injuries will be listed, I think it's yellow. Klee, help me out. What are the different colors?
So the limbs themselves will have a blood icon that goes from like yellow to orange to a deep red, and deep red is the worst.
Yeah.
If it's a deep red on your limbs, your priority should not be bandaging, it should be tourniquets, even if you're a medic. Medics do bandage a bit faster. And then, of course, you cannot tourniquet the head and torso.
Yeah. So, yeah, like if you've got an orange or red injury to one of your limbs, and then you've also got other injuries, quickly throw a tourniquet on that, and then deal with those injuries. So if you got like an orange or red wound to your left arm and your right leg, and then you've also got a head injury of any kind, throw a tourniquet on that left arm, throw a tourniquet on that right leg, and then treat your head wound. You want to, the most important thing you can do, and this goes for real life or you know, in Bellum, and Bellum's meant to model real life situations as much as possible within reason, with a few compromises made for gamification. But basically, like, battlefield casualties, most people die due to bleeding out, and that holds true in Bellum. So you want to stop the bleeding first. So the first thing you're going to do is tourniquet every major injury that you have. If you've got a yellow injury, you might be able to either skip it and handle all the worst injuries first, or you could bandage it. I don't know exactly what the breakdown is there, but basically I would tourniquet anything that's orange or red, then treat your head and torso wounds with bandages, because as Klee said, you can't put a tourniquet on them. So you're going to bandage them, then go back and convert those tourniquets to bandages, and then treat like any, say, yellow wounds that you have, minor wounds that you have, with a bandage. So you want to throw tourniquets on as quick as possible to stop your major bleeds. You want to bandage your head and torso, obviously, if they're major bleeds. And then you want to go back and convert to tourniquets, because if you leave a tourniquet on and you don't convert it to a bandage, you'll eventually pass out from the pain, because when you put a tourniquet on tight enough to effectively stop blood flow, I mean, it's going to be tight, like very tight, and like and I'm speaking in real life terms here, it's going to be very, very tight, and it's eventually going to get painful. So one way that they demonstrate that in game is an effect where you'll pass out, and it happens pretty quickly. So you want to immediately get those tourniquets on, get your bandaging done, and convert the tourniquets to bandages. All right, moving on. So as somebody was asking about how do you change your fire rate, so this is my primary weapon, my 1 key, and if you look down in the bottom right, you'll see me repeatedly hitting 1. It switches between semi and auto. Semi and auto. Eventually we'll have sidearms, at least for some roles, and so that would be your 2 key. Some roles have like grenade launchers, that's the 3 key. I think 4 is unused currently. 5, some roles have binoculars, such as the role I'm in. I'm the platoon leader. You'd hit your 5 key and it'll bring out binos. And the zoom factor on these things is pretty strong. Klee, can you tell me what that zoom factor is, by the way?
7 times. All the FOVs in the game, like, it's very much tied to whatever you have set in your settings. And so in this case, it'd be 7 times whatever you have, well, default zoom is.
Sweet.
Yep. And if you set your FOV to like 115, you still only get that little bit of, well, 7 times of that. So, 115 divide by 7. I'm not going to do the exact math because I just woke up. But yeah, basically, if you have a crazy monitor with a wider view, we're keeping it fair for whatever setting you end up wanting to use for the people that are fighting against you.
Thanks, Clee. Also, if you are stationary, you can press your shift key and it'll do a shift zoom feature. So even for those roles that don't have binos, if you're pulling security somewhere or you're sitting in an ambush and you want to be able to see, in the far distance in the direction of your sector of fire, shift zoom, and that's a 1.25x zoom, courtesy of Klee. He told me that last night. 1.25x zoom. All right, moving on. Let's see. Went through the weapons control. Oh, eventually one of the keybinds in the weapons and equipment will be like for setting demolition charges. And I think that's 4 or 5 or 6. Maybe it's 6.
Yeah, it's 6.
Okay, thanks. And we have had those in certain builds temporarily, and maybe we have them in now, but they don't do anything. They currently, that will be for the next game mode, where you're destroying caches. And so I think currently...
Yeah, come April 10th, yeah, they'll be more functional between IEDs, C4 charges, and claymores, and yeah.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we've ran through all the weapons and equipment keybinds now. We went through the health. All right, so you can share magazines with people by holding down J and then choosing the magazine on your wheel that you want to give them. So I'm going to take this mag out. I'm going to offer it to this dude, and he'll get a pop-up on his screen where he can take the magazine. Hey, dude, do you mind taking this mag just to demonstrate?
He probably is full ammo. Have him do a speed reload to drop one so he can have the space.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Like have him double tap reload.
Hey, can you do a
to
speed
do
reload?
The speed reload.
There we go. He must be one of the dudes in the chat. He's responding as fast as you say it. Thanks, man. Yeah, he is. Sweet. All right, so anyway, the J key, that allows you to share mags. And speaking of, didn't he drop one? If you see mags on the ground, you can press your function key or your interact key to pick it up off the ground. Anybody who's played before, if you can think of any other keybinds or menu systems that I should cover, go ahead and jump in right now.
Crouch and scrolling, like getting variable height.
Movement.
I use that a good bit.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. All right, so you can press Z to go prone. And then I think pressing again doesn't do anything. Oh, yeah, it does. All right, so you can press it again to stand up. I think you can also press spacebar. Made me go prone.
Spacebar, when you're prone, it is very useful because it kind of like raises your head up. So often you'll be proned out in fields and whatnot. And pressing spacebar just lets you see a little bit further in the prone position.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm still prone right now, and then I'm hitting space, and I like raise up basically, kind of like doing a, what is that yoga pose? But you know what I mean. All right, so
can you show the other guy doing it so we know what the model looks like?
Yeah.
I'm curious how much it reveals yourself.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing it right now.
Thank you, other people.
It also lets you look at your phone and then not go clip to the ground.
Genius.
Oh, that's
excellent.
useful.
Yes,
always
Yeah, wait a minute. That's
also,
for
I
me.
fixed the phone.
Hey, hashtag.
Or
you mind
can roll over.
demonstrating
If
that?
you're full prone, you can
that,
get on your back.
well, like
Pull
from
up
the
your feet,
prone, pressing the space bar to raise up and down. I know you were just doing it. Just do it again.
M key.
Yeah. All right. So you see how much he's raising up, and
How do you roll over?
there is
Spin around for me.
As prone, just spin around. Spin around, baby.
Like you're gonna shoot behind you. Just aim and start turning around. Look at your feet.
So it's like Call of Duty's
so if you look
Omni
at the
movement.
models now, when they pull their phone out like that, it's a goofy angle, but it won't clip, and you'll be able to read it.
Yeah, I'll
It'll
demonstrate
always
that.
be readable.
All right, let me demonstrate that. So prone. Speaking of the BTAK, that is your M as in map key. And I think they've got it fixed where it's usually readable now anyway. A lot of times.
Yes, I fixed that.
Thank you, Clee. Previously, in previous builds, if you pulled it out while you were prone, especially if you were really close to the ground, it would be like upside down, clipped into the ground, covered in grass, yada yada. You couldn't use it for shit. But thank God Clee fixed that, because as somebody who plays in leadership roles frequently, that was driving me insane. Anyway, if you do run into that problem, close your BTAK, raise yourself up off the ground, and then open it again, and it should give you enough standoff that it'll show up properly. So that's your BTAK. Speaking of the BTAK, let's just go ahead and... okay, the game just started because we got enough people.
Get bugged.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and deploy in. Get over here and get a little... well, you know what? They were working with me. They weren't harassing me. I'll just stay... oh my god, what's... okay. Alright, anyway, BTAK. The M key to bring it up. On the left, these three icons here are basically your three main menus as the BTAK is currently implemented. The one on the left, it's going to give you your faction, your influence factor, which is how much of your manpower is within the,
what's up, bitches?
the AO, within the AO perimeter. Your reserves, that's your manpower reserves. So it's going to be your number of players times your lives divided by, or well, I guess your casualties divided by your number of players times lives. Something like that. And then, of course, you got the roster over here, as you can clearly see. You got your 1-6 element, your command element. Then your squads, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and 1-4. And then if you're in the Ranger Regiment, you'll also see a 1-5, but they're actually in the 1-4 squad. They're just kind of a special unit, so they have their own designation.
Hello. We're gonna start
and so you can use that to see like who's in what position. You know, you can see what the manpower is, because sometimes you'll play games that are or matches that aren't full, and so there'll be empty roles, and you can just see what your platoon's strength is at. You can use your mouse wheel, like put your cursor over on your mouse, use your mouse wheel to roll in and out, then you right click to drag the map around. If you left click, and one of you guys feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but no matter what your role is, whether you're in a leadership or not, you can left click, and then your cursor will show up on the map. So you can say like...
or squad mates. Only squad mates, make that clear.
Okay, thank you.
You are 1-6, 1-3, no one else will see that, only your squad mates.
Okay, so for your squad, they can see your cursor icon, and you can, like, you know, use it to show parts of the map that you're referring to. Alright, for the next tab, that'll be over here to the Units tab. Which is...
and for anyone who's trying to get over some of this stuff, I've posted it in the channel chat, so if you go over to the side, you should be able to read some of this along with Jedi and some other keybinds.
Excellent. So then you have these icons that can be placed on the map. Just be warned, the 5 across the top, for whatever reason, they don't show up for everybody in your platoon. In fact, I think they only show up for the user or within your squad. So basically,
within
squad mates. All squad mates.
Okay, so kind of like the cursor thing, these 5 across the top only show up for your squad. So these 3 on the bottom, however, show up for your entire platoon. So you've got these, and these, let me zoom in on that a little bit. These, when you drop them, they will be randomly assigned a name or a tag. So like this one is Romeo 95, this one's Victor 34. And you can use those to assign waypoints for movement or to establish points of interest. Like if I want to say we're going to hold this village on Romeo 95.
Hello.
Hello. And if I want to say the way we're going to get there is going to be head north-northeast to Victor 3-4, then we'll go northeast to Romeo 9-5. That's the way most people use those, is as waypoints and to designate points of interest and key terrain, things like that. Then you have this blue envelope. Some people use that for the same purpose. I think it's called a NATO something or other indicator, and this particular one just indicates like an infantry unit. Then you have the red Op4 indicator. This just indicates enemy units. And of these
0 the RPG.
Of these 3, you can only have 5 at a time. So
Per
we got
person,
1, 2,
I
3.
believe.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
5 only.
5 per person. So the map can
Yeah,
get very
that's-
cluttered, and
I'm
you'll
scrolling.
hear
That's
leadership
scrolling.
asking people to
Excellent
declutter
scrolling.
the map
All right,
every
appreciate
so
it.
often. Like I think they auto delete
Same with
after
tornadoes.
5, 8, 10 minutes, something like
Correct.
that.
5.
5 minutes.
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
I think it's 5.
But
Could be
when
8.
when there's a lot of action going on, and you've got some people that are a little less experienced maybe, and wanting to mark every single thing they can, the map can get really cluttered. But I'll demonstrate here. So I've got 3, 4, 5, and then once I drop my 6th, you'll see that one disappear. Or that one. Oh yeah, that was my first marker. Okay. And that one disappeared. Yeah. Okay, so 5 at a time. So that's how the BTAK works. Then you have the...
Delete those marks, Jedi.
Yeah, go ahead, send it.
To delete those, you just press left click on the mark.
Correct. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good point. Yeah, you just left click on them to delete them. And sometimes sometimes left clicking does not delete them. It helps if you
Right
zoom
click,
in.
isn't it?
Say again?
It's right click.
Left click. Left
Yeah,
click
you're
is
right.
how do you move.
Yeah,
them.
left click moves them. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Left click, you can
Got it.
click and drag to move them around. Right click to delete. Thanks, guys. All right, so then you have the companion piece, which is your Garmin smartwatch, which every African wears, as we all know.
Yeah.
This entire platoon, they all have a nice $1,000 Garmin GPS watch.
Hey, it's our sign-in bonus.
All right, so to bring that up, you're going to hit Tab, and then you can, while you have that up in front of your face, you can roll your mouse wheel in and out to zoom in and out. So see, I can zoom all the way out, and I can see basically 2 AOs across.
Nothing.
Like way out, like way further out than you would ever need, probably. And then by default, it's usually going to be zoomed way in, maybe max zoom in, and usually that's too far in. So one of the first things I do when I spawn into a match is I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to zoom out probably about 5 or 6 ticks of my mouse wheel so that I can see over, say, a 50 to 75 meter radius around myself. Because your team is going to get spread out at times. You need to be able to see where your fire team is at, and also possibly where your squad is at. Especially for you new guys, that's going to be one of the best things you can do to be able to see where your particular unit is at, so you don't go running off with a sister unit headed off in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
All right, anybody got any questions or feedback for anything I've said so far about the keybinds and the different game systems?
I'm sorry, could you very, very quickly open the BTAK again to where you were able to place the markers? I missed the entire top row of what you had. Yeah, that entire top row.
Yeah. All right, so there's just this one that just looks like a weird sword, a down arrow. This one here, oh yeah, they're a little bigger too. So that one is SBF, or support by fire. So like if you were running a machine gun squad, or if you wanted to set in some of your fire team dudes as a support by fire element, then that would be the perfect one for that. RLY, like rally point, and then LCC, last cover and concealment. You don't see these used very often, partly because they do they only apply to your squad, and more often than not, people are trying to mark things for the entire platoon. But feel free to use them as you see fit. Just remember, the top 5 only apply to your squad. Does that answer your question? Go ahead, send it.
90% of the time, you're going to be seeing that those POIs do all the heavy lifting. Like, you'll be like, you know, XYZ POI is where we're going to be establishing this SBF, or hey, this is our RP. So the POIs are what you're going to be seeing and using from a command and controls perspective 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So not flat out ignore the top 5, but pretty much no one's going to be using the top 5.
No one's going to use them.
Yeah.
The only time you should be using the top 5 is to mark out a very, very rough path of where you want your squads to be moving.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
I actually need to
like,
start doing that. Yeah.
I use the arrow mark and I say, hey boys, Alpha, I want you going to the arrow mark. And then I use usually the one to the left of the arrow mark. I don't know what you call that weird thing with 2 marks.
Spearhead
and
thing.
Yeah, the little whatever that is. I use that to say Bravo, go to that mark, and then I try and lay out a small.
Not at this time.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, the BTAK will have further capabilities, and it'll be a lot more. It'll work better. It'll have more features, but at this time, no, you can't rotate those. I think eventually, as you can see, it says custom, and it's got all these pluses. I assume you'll be able to add custom
yeah, there's a lot
BTAK
of stuff
icons. But
Districtly, maybe.
Currently,
Jedi,
yeah, Hero has worked on like the custom UI stuff, or maybe custom markers, and then he didn't finish it, so we ripped it out.
that was my question about the row. Thank you, guys.
Who was sending something for Jedi? Somebody just said something.
I just wanted. We're kind of coming up on the end of the session, and
Yeah.
I just want to really make sure that communication standards are communicated at the least. So I was curious, if you have anything else, then let's get that information sent out to the boys, and let's move on to communication.
100%, man. Yeah, I did not mean to run this long. I just been running my suck hole, and here we are. So yeah, guys.
Honestly, I did the same thing yesterday. I tried doing 15 minutes of like keybinds and stuff. It's not doable in 15 minutes. I found out if you're trying to show it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, now we know. Now we know.
A lot of hidden things.
I got that filed away. So, guys, on that note, unless anybody has a very important question, I need to send you over to Training 2 channel. Well, are we going to stay in this channel, or did y'all want to go to Training 2, Dub?
Here.
Okay, we'll stay here.
Stay here.
I need to transition and let Dubsky take the helm.
There's another thing about the movement.
About the movement? Oh, yeah. There are some things I didn't cover, but that can be covered in game. They're less important.
I just have one question. Is space just so you don't do fracture side? Is there nothing else about the slant for it?
Oh, doing like the high...
It's for desktop. It's for desktop,
yeah,
basically.
Exactly. That's all I was thinking.
Space, that's all it is. Because you cannot fire while you're in high ready.
Oh, all
right.
Dude, that's kind of smart.
Dubsky and Goblin, it's your show. Take it away.
I prefer just doing an ND every fucking round at the worst time. It's my shit.
Alright.
Okay, guys, we're gonna speed run this bitch. I am streaming, I think.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, you are. Sure, my shit is muted.
Yes, Google Documents, my favorite.
Alrighty. So we're gonna go through. We don't have a lot of time, but we're gonna go through communication. Communication is the most important thing in Bellum, and it is sometimes the most difficult thing to kind of understand. But if you know how to communicate, paired with being able to read the map, understanding what the fuck your squad leader, your platoon leader wants you to do, it's gonna put you ahead of a lot of folks, increase your survivability, and increase your impact in the game. There are 3 kind of channels for communication. Some of them are only available to leadership, like team leaders, squad leaders, and platoon leaders, whereas other forms of communication are available to anyone in a squad. So I'm going to be giving most of this yappage from the perspective of like, hey, like a grenadier, a fucking medic, or an automatic rifleman, or whatever, you're in some squad as just a normal infantryman. And you're going to have access to your local proximity chat and your squad net. If you do end up being a team leader, which I encourage you to, if you like that kind of stuff, you'll also have platoon net. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the local voice will just hear it as like this all-encompassing sound that's coming through both of your headphones, but both of your ears. Whereas squad net is isolated on the left side of your headphones, and platoon net, command net, is on your right side, which really helps for differentiation. Let's see here. So that goes over that. And then 1.2 with our pro words, you'll kind of understand these as you hear them utilized. But with the pro words, this is basically just a lot of shit that you're commonly going to be saying over and over and over again. And, you know, some motherfucker 100 years ago decided to standardize what we say in these types of situations. So there's a lot that you're going to be understanding. I think they give some examples here, like break is something that you'll hear a lot. It's when you have, you know, higher priority traffic that's coming on. So maybe some two dudes are yapping. You know, you hear another squad leader, hey, break, I have context, so on and so forth. It means like shut the hell up and let that priority traffic come through. Do we have a question from someone?
For the platoon net and local chat and all that stuff, if you are near someone, you're going to hear it in local chat while they talk on the radio. So they might be talking to command chat, and you're still going to hear it local chat if you're close enough. Always remember that all enemies cannot hear you when you speak, no matter what. If you're in local chat, if you're in squad chat, if you're in command chat, no enemy can hear you speak. So always give as much information as you can.
Is there any plans of that changing? Like, not necessarily them hearing our voices, but them like.
Let's not ask that question at the moment. Let's not ask that. Otherwise, we're gonna get derailed. And sorry, Gray.
Good man, that's Goblin. You're right on, and I totally would have responded had you not said.
I know that. So I don't want this to be a Q&A at the moment because we got to get this for everyone.
Yeah, we'll come back to it though. Hold that question. Just remember it. We'll come back to it though, brother.
Great. I'll message you personally.
Other pro words that are common, Roger Dodger, you know, all that good shit. Wilco. What other pro words do we have? I think they go into them further on here. Identification is super important. You're gonna hear that a lot. So this is actually extremely key. When we're talking in Bellum, it's not like, you know, squad where there's this little indicator saying like, oh, so and so is speaking, so and so is speaking. We have to do that identification. So identification, if you're going onto any net, is extremely important. You identify first who you're attempting to reach with this transmission, and then you follow up with who the sender is. So the example here is like Alpha, this is Bravo, you know, so on and so forth, over. Who am I sending the message to? Who is the sender of the message? Here's a message. Here's, you know, if I expect a response or if it's end of transmission. And this occurs at every point up the chain. So if I am, what you'll often hear, just to kind of give it more specific to the game, is like, say that I am the squad leader for 1-1. And I have, you know, a 1-1 Alpha team leader. I have a 1-1 Bravo team leader. There's other squads. There's like 1-2. There's my platoon leader 1-6. So whoever I'm trying to reach, if I'm trying to reach the platoon leader, I'm gonna raise him first with saying like 1-6. This is 1-1 message over. Or what you'll often see abbreviated is you'll just go 1-6-1-1. Like that's all I do. I yell 1-6-1-1. I want to get 1-6's attention. I am 1-1. Respond back to me, please. So identification is super important. If you just say, hey, they're over by me, no one's gonna know what the fuck that means because no one knows who just sent that message. Like, you hear that shit so much. So you really need to be like, all stations, this is 1-1. The enemy's on our position. Like, you have to communicate it verbatim, or else no one's gonna know what the fuck's going on. Is there anything I'm missing out there for communication?
Yeah, hit brevity in the ABCs, that 1.2 and its subtitle. Hit that real quick.
True, accurate, brief, and clear. If you write fucking essays on net, you are detracting from the effectiveness of the entire platoon. Making sure that you are accurate, brief, and clear, it helps every level of that chain of command understand the battle space. You know, even as an infantryman, you're collecting information, and depending on how well you can pass that information up the chain of command, you know, that is building your team's understanding of what this game is shaping out to look like. So if you're able to be accurate, brief, and clear, you can ensure your fire team leader gets the right information, who can ensure his squad leader gets the right information, who can ensure the platoon leader gets the right information. So it really starts like this whole hot potato of information, ensuring that it's accurate, brief, and clear. I'm not I'm taking time to observe what's going on. I'm thinking about like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. How do I communicate this? This is 1-1. I have seen XYZ, and that's it. I don't need to try to get deeper into it. I really just need to be like kind of a relay for information. And making sure I'm being concise about it.
As Cobra just reminded us, make sure you cover the 3Ds. It's at the bottom, that next page down, 1.3 reporting standards.
Okay. So I hope that makes sense for communication.
The best thing you can do is make your report as small as possible, because let's be honest, when you are hearing us speak right now, you're probably already tuning us out. So if you go on a long spiel about there was 20 different enemies over here and there and there and this and that, you're probably already tuned us out by the time we tried to get to the important stuff. Just make it quick. I saw a group, more than 2, here, this location, north of Bravo. 1-1 Bravo, 1-2 Bravo, doesn't matter. Mark on map if you can. Make it quick, easy. No one knows what this Go for it.
In the Marine Corps, they teach us a really simple acronym for this. It's size, action, location. SAL. You just say the size of the element, what they're doing, and where they are, a cardinal direction to either a landmark or your current position.
Oh, sweet. Are you in the Marines right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, where are you at?
I am in the reserves right now, but I was for 2 years active duty in Fort Leonard, Missouri.
What was your MOS?
I am a combat engineer, heavy equipment operator.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
Hell yeah. Thank you, and 100%. Little acronyms like that, you'll pick up a shit ton of them because it's something that you'll find yourself doing over and over again, and people have just kind of settled into what is the actual cleanest way to do this. Yeah, brevity, super important. Just communicating exactly what's going on, nothing more. You do not need to be writing verbal essays. Reporting standards. Yeah, enemy over there, or hey, they're by that bush, they're like, there's so many extremely vague callouts, and the more specific that you can be about the information that you're trying to communicate while keeping it brief and clear and concise, again, the better other people are able to act on that information. So here's something that you can keep in mind, is going to be our 3Ds. So say I'm taking some contact, how am I best communicating that to the rest of my squad? And you guys can read right there. It's direction, distance, and description. So, I might be running around and an alpha fire team taking lead in some squad column, and we have, contact north, 200 meters, enemy fire team moving left to right. That information immediately lets everyone else who's in line with me or get in line with me orient themselves at the enemy, start understanding like, okay, how far away are these motherfuckers, what am I looking for visually, and it helps people get oriented to the situation at hand. So yeah, those are your 3Ds. Any questions about that? I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. If not anything, just get the 2Ds. Maybe 3Ds are too many Ds for you. Just get these 2.
Try to at least give a direction. Direction should be the first thing out of your mouth, and then a description of some kind. Is it contact? Like, are you in a gunfight? Are you just got eyes on somebody 200 meters away that doesn't see you? Direction and description at minimum, and then try to give some indication of distance if you can. We're at like a 1 minute warning, by the way, before kickoff. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no worries. one last
I usually
thing
say
is-
something's over there.
Yeah,
Yep.
something's
Buy that tree. Buy that tree.
Guys, one last thing real quick, and then we can bounce. Ace reports, you'll be asked to perform an ace report, either as a team leader, a squad leader, or some member of a team. Ammunition, casualties, and equipment. Don't really need to care too much about equipment, but most of the time with an ace report, you're just seeing, okay, how many mags do I have? How many casualties do we have in our squad? And then, yeah, if you have like RPGs, if you do have medical supplies or grenades that you need to worry about, this is super important because we need to keep track of how much ammo and like the combat effectiveness of different units. So if you're asked to perform an ace report, look for these 3 things: ammunition, casualties, and equipment. Yeah, that's about it. Sorry that was speed ran, but much love. You guys will do great. Have fun. And
Now into the fire and flames.
Yes.
Get in.
Real quick, who was my fellow jarhead up there who was talking earlier, huh?
Hey, for everyone that was hung out here and introductory, if
That
you
was
guys
me,
want to learn more,
Bulldog.
if you guys want to do kind of just more community stuff, more training, quote unquote, just general vibes, I put our Discord link in the freaking training. If you guys want to hop over there, no pressure, to open invite, always be there. But I will see you guys in game.
Roger that.
Luck, boys.
Yeah, over in the Warfighting Society, we're super laid back, but as you can see, we're very passionate about applying real-world military tactics and communication to winning the gunfight and winning in milsim games. We play a few other games, but we're mostly milsim focused. Well, let me rephrase that. We're TAC-sim focused. We apply tactics, but we don't LARP and do all the overly military rank structure and stuff like that. You're welcome to come join us, hang out, and you can be a member of another milsim unit. You don't have to be exclusively over here with us. Let's get playing,
more like
boys.
an you have to give.
Trip.
Say again?
You gotta give E-dubs $25 though.
Yeah, roger that.
A little bit more than that.
Servers are up, boys. Servers are up.
Am I not spamming the Ranger
as your best
dog?
There was no Bravo 1, so I just jumped over into Charlie 1. I know Maniac said you were trying to take over Charlie 1.
Also in Charlie
Oh,
1.
go ahead, man.
Is
Quick question
That's what we're
about the lace report.
Send it.
Yeah.
If one of my Joes forgot his Camelback, do I take him to the tree line and smoke him?
Haze him.
Or...
You haze him.
What's his
Yeah.
You haze the dog shit out of him. That's what you do.
Right. And it's funny because he doesn't have a water source, so.
No.
You
You've done
continue
it
hazing
completely
him.
wrong. You haze the entire squad, right? So
What if
that
I gotta
they can
leave
go and deal with
mid-combat
him.
to get my pizza out the oven?
No, you burn the entire squad so they deal with him each and individually. Okay, that's how it works.
That's the soap bar way, bro.
You give him a pencil, and you tell him to stick his arm straight out with both hands, and he's got to hold that pencil with only 2 fingers.
Yeah. Sounds easy. I dare you to try it.
That's messed up.
Rangers?
Yeah,
Rangers.
I've seen it before.
Jedi's
I was
gonna
like,
go
no,
Echo
no,
1. I'm bringing the
no
crowd
one
with
likes
me
playing off
to Echo
for-
1.
Yeah, just kind of spread out. Spread as best you can. All right. If you guys want to join, let me see. Voice Room 1. We can all jump down to Voice Room 1 so we can vacate this training VC so we're not sitting here thinking people are going to be joining this one to train. So I'll see you guys in Voice Room 1.
Yeah, roger that. Let's do it.
Let me in.
For anybody who is watching Jedi on YouTube, I'm about to stop this recording and start a new one for the actual gameplay. Bear with me. There will be a new live stream up momentarily.